Greetings and salutations. It is late October of 2020, and we are headed for the late October fish room tour of East Oakland Aquatics. And as always, my name is Aaron Aron. And as always, I shoot this video in one shot, one take, and we just go for it. This month, I'd like to give a special shout out to Jim and Christina and little Preston for sponsoring this video. And let's go and start the tour. So first we're going to enter into the fish room, and as you can probably see from last month, there's already some big changes. But let's start over here in the quarantine tanks. I now have two set up because we have some new fish coming in that they have not arrived yet, but for right now we have a dwarf gourami who's going to be in quarantine for another 15 days before I put him in the big 45-gallon tank. And in this 10-gallon tank, let's turn on, no, we'll leave the light on. In this 10-gallon tank, we had a snail outbreak, and unfortunately, a lot of the plants died, and unfortunately, a lot of the fish passed away. There's only a couple of fish left, so this tank probably is going to have to get redone again. It started off really promising, but as always, you never know what's going to happen. So in this 10-gallon tank, we have our famous Endlers and our two panda cories here. The panda cories are doing good, and yes, there are plans to get more. As you can see, I set up a secondary quarantine tank, so that should probably indicate the reason why. And the little Endlers are doing great, and as you can see, I just fed, so everyone's eating, because it's always a good time to shoot a video when everyone's eating. The plants are doing great, the Anubias, the Java Fern, and the wood. I have no plans to change this tank at all. I think it looks great just as is. Alright, and now we're going into the 29-gallon, which is still my original tank that I started off with. And the cherry barbs are all eating, and as you can see, I'm adding plants, and I'm going to be adding more and more plants because I want to breed cherry barbs, and the eggs need places to go to hide. And as I probably should mention, the tanks that are upstairs are going to get torn down, except maybe for one. Oh, and now we can see them all on top here just eating still. And I will take all those leftover rocks, plants, and wood, and I will put it in these tanks to make them really stand out and pop. And because I think this would make a great planted aquarium, just full of plants, and then there will be plenty of places for the cherry barbs to hide their eggs, and hopefully we can breed them and get more cherry barbs. Now this is the big update for the day, and as you can see, the 45-gallon bow tank looks nothing like it did before. It is fully planted. And we have some runny nose tetra in there, and we have some Otocinclus and some Harlequin rasbora. We had a lot more, but unfortunately I made a fatal error by not putting them in the quarantine first, and a lot of them unfortunately passed away. That is a big mistake that I made, and I shouldn't have made it, but you can be 3 years into the hobby and you can still make mistakes. Though, I'd like to thank the plants were purchased from Mike's Feed and Pets on International. You can check in with Jason for all your aquatic needs there. And the fish were purchased from the aquarium store down in Hayward. I believe it's off of Winston. I think it's called the Aquatic Collection or something. I highly recommend both places to go check them out. I think this tank just looks phenomenal. You will see some of the plants in the back. I'm not sure if they're going to make it, but I can tell you that the Anubia, the sword, the Amazon sword, red, and the Java Fern are doing great, and this Valerian grass is doing great, and yeah, this tank is just everything that I want it to be. I just love it. There's a little Otocinclus. God, I like those guys. We're gonna have to put way more in there because man, you get such a different behavior from Otocinclus when you have more than a couple. They just, last night they were all swimming in pairs. There's one of the Harlequin, one of the bigger ones. You can see I Looks like a little pork chop. All right. This tank is just phenomenal. I just love it. All right. And now we're going to go to our 3 20-gallon longs on the rack here. And the top tank here, we have our leopard Cory cats and our mollies. And they're also just finishing up dinner. This tank, we added some new plants and we moved in the statue from the tank below. It was a minor tank redo. You know, I like it. I think it looks great. I'm not sure that I'm going to be breeding Mama Molly anymore. She's made so many babies. Those are all her kids in there. Papa Molly passed away over the past month. But this tank also looks phenomenal. All right, and in this tank, we have the Ember Tetras and some salt and pepper Corys. We have a stir-by Cory, and then we have a, I can't remember what kind of Cory cat that guy is in the back, but this tank, I did, as you can see, I really like the statue being down here, the rock formation, and the grass just growing. It just has this natural look to it that I really enjoy, and the fish look great. Down here is my fake planted tank. These are just leftover decorations that I have. These are the swordtails. They're all female. The male passed away. And there is the famous orange laser cat Cory. They're super shy. Here they go, running away. I just did this tank as an experiment just to see how it would look with rocks. You know, and some fake plants. You can definitely tell they're fake, but it's got a nice feel to it, and we will hopefully get some male swordtails so that we can breed these swordtails and get some beautiful colors. And look who's coming out. There he is, Mr. Orange Laser Cat. He's a cool looking guy. Some of my favorite Cory cats. If you can afford them, I highly recommend them. They usually cost between $20 and $30 a fish. I only have a couple. Used to have 4. Not anymore. All right, so let's go to the rack of 5-gallon tanks and the 10-gallon. And as you can see here, I created this planted aquarium with leftover soils and substrate, all mixed it up together, creates a rich, fertile environment. The plants are doing great, and all these little orange little endlers are doing great. I just love the coloration. They're all male. These are all offspring from my breeding. I sold some to Mike's Feed, but it's doing great. And in this tank, I just planted some new plants, put in some wood, and Hope. I think this is Joy, actually. I think, no, yeah, this is Hope. She is a female betta. She's looking great. And right next to her is Joy. She's got that red and white. She looks great. And yeah, we also put more plants in this tank, added some wood. This tank is looking phenomenal, and she is a great looking fish. Yeah, she looks great. And they're probably saying to me, hey, how about some more food? And I'm gonna be like, oh no, you guys ate enough. All right, so here's Angel. He's got a couple of female endlers in here. They all just ate too. I added some new plants in this tank, nothing more. And in this 5-gallon, we have Sparky and his 2 endler girlfriends. And as you can see, I added more plants and a piece of wood. The tank's really starting to come out. It looks great, and Sparky's just all flaring up, looking great, saying, hey, how about some more food? And I'm like, no, you ate enough, buddy. But he looks great. He just looks phenomenal. He's a great looking betta fish. And in the last tank here, we have good Agent Frank betta, the senior betta. And yep, there's some endlers in there. The plants are doing good, the rocks are doing good. The rocks, there's no reason to redo this tank. The tank looks great. Frank looks great. He seems happy, so we're good. All right. So we also did a makeover on the 10-gallon up here. Just a little bit. The plants are new. Hopefully they'll grow out soon. These are the male guppies that I bred. Unfortunately, I didn't get the colors that I wanted out of them. I think I've talked about that before. Yeah. I didn't get any colors that I wanted. They're pretty dull looking, but it is what it is. Except that one has a little bit of blue in it in his tail. But you know what? It's my first breeding project with guppies, and sometimes you don't get the colors that you want. It is what it is. All right, so here's a basic new tank. These are leftover female endlers. We're just starting off with some fresh plants and some rocks. But this is the one I really like. Look at this. I took all this leftover substrate, packed it thick. I'm growing this grass with this Buddha statue. And in here we have some more male endlers that I bred. And this tank just looks phenomenal. I love it. Looks so good. And then the next one is actually gonna be my favorite tank. For whatever reason, I just love how I took all this mixed substrate. And in there we have a male endler who's with 3 ladies right now. And hopefully in another 30 days, we'll have some babies. We'll move the male out when it's time for them to give birth. And I'm hoping to get some good colors this time, but I just love, look at this from a back view. Look at those 2 5-gallons. Just so it goes to show you what you can do with your creativeness and just using leftover materials and all that good stuff. In here is just a non-planted rock tank with leftover snails that have passed away. I just put the shells in there because they look great, even though the snails have passed away. It's just some more female endlers in here. And in here, there are my white cloud minnows that I bred. I only was able to save 3, but hey, 3's better than nothing. And this tank is just with some rocks and some soil and some plants. Yeah, we'll see what I could do. We'll get some, I think we need to put in some wood and some more plants, and I think this tank is just gonna pop. And in here, we redid this one too with rocks and an Anubias and the Buddha statue, and we have some more female endlers. That's what happens when you breed lots of fish. You get lots of females and you get lots of males, and they're doing good. And everything just looks great. As I said, I'm gonna tear down most of the tanks upstairs, so that's the reason why we're not going upstairs. We'll keep the 1 15-gallon, that's where the neon tetras are. I might show that next month, but I think all in all, the fish room is looking good. I'm happy. This has been something I've worked on all year. So with that, I'm gonna sign off and say thanks for watching. Thanks for being a supporter of East Oakland Aquatics. I wish you well. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you next time.